Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Welcome to the third episode of the Shaida Effect podcast. I hope everyone is doing fantastic wherever you are across the globe. It is the start of a new month, so we are heading off to a fresh start. So today with me is my good friend Aida, a bright, soft-spoken girl with a heart of steel.
Oh, hello.
Hi Aida, how are you doing?
Hi, hi. I'm doing great. I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. How about you, Shaida?
Okay, Alhamdulillah, I'm doing great as well. Not so great lah because we are just stuck in the house, right?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. My name is Aida. I'm currently a student, linguistic major. Fun fact, actually, Shaida and I are dear classmates, and we have been through together. Like basically, we are like linguistic students throughout the 3 years, and Shaida has been a very good friend. And she surprisingly, we had so many like interests, and I do vibe the most with those who actually have the same interests as me. So and then we have been like we can connect really easily, which is a very good thing. So that's how we can click up until now. So yeah, I think it's a very good experience. So that's how I am. That's who I am.
While I was doing research on this topic, right, I stumbled upon
Yeah.
some interesting quotes. Because today we are going to talk
Mm-hmm.
about a topic that is relatively heavy, and even so, many of us don't exactly take it so seriously, right? It's something that we often shrug off given the nature of our competitive society and also environment. So, both of us are going to talk about these two topics, which is on personal boundaries and also the concept of alone time. And disclaimer to the people out there, by no means we are experts on this topic, right?
True. True.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, back to the quotes that I found interesting while I was doing the research. One by Anna Taylor. She said, "Love yourself enough to set boundaries. Your time and energy are precious. You get to choose how you use it. You teach people how to treat you by deciding what you will and won't accept." So, in your opinion, what exactly are personal boundaries?
In my opinion, personal boundaries may be subjective to other people, but if like for me, personal boundaries is like the things that like the limitations that you set up for yourself for your own good.
Mm.
And but as we all know, like boundaries is basically like something that limits us to do to for avoiding us to cross how to say to cross the limit, cross the line,
Mm-hmm.
and for our own personal reasons, like for on our personal benefits,
Mm-hmm.
as in do not doing things that we are not comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
We like our heart actually says no to things,
Mm-hmm.
like to some things. So for me, that is how personal boundaries work, and it's actually very important, to protect ourselves from having unnecessary risk,
Yeah.
from slowly destroying ourselves to the things that shouldn't be, that shouldn't we take charge. So yeah, in my opinion, that's about it.
So, when do you think is the right moment for us to set up boundaries? Because we just don't know, right? So, when do you think we should
Yeah.
set boundaries? Yeah.
Yeah, it actually depends on the individual, like him or herself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if looking at, you know, if generically
Mm-hmm.
speaking, I think the right moment to for us to set up boundaries is when we feel that things are happening that exceeds our boundaries, that exceeds the line, the line that yeah, they kind of how to say, like, it's dangerous for us, that we do feel
Like toxic.
okay, yes, true, that we feel like, okay, this is this is fishy, this is something wrong, like you shouldn't say yes to it, and we feel like there's something wrong now, basically. So from there, if we feel like there is like something that is just doesn't right to us, then is when we when in this case, like, it's like when we don't expect that to happen. So from there, like, I think that it is the right moment to set up boundaries. But if we look back, I think if we can detect like those things that, okay, I think this is like, I feel that something negative is going to happen. So I think it's better, like as the saying goes, prevention is better than cure. So I think it is good for us to set up boundaries way earlier, and then we have to set up very properly, so that, okay, when that actually happen, and then we feel like, oh, okay, I think I can take charge, I can control this. So yeah, it actually so that's how that it should be lah. Then, like, setting up boundaries when something's not right. So yeah.
So like naturally we have like these instincts when we feel like it's not right for us, so we naturally set up the boundaries against toxic people or even toxic environment, right? So
yeah.
but then some people, they don't realize that they should set up some kind of boundaries to prevent themselves from getting hurt and such. So how can these people, learn how to establish boundaries so that, they won't get hurt?
Okay. All right. Like, I'll begin with the story. Like,
Okay.
this is like speaking of experience.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Before because I feel like it's like somehow related.
Yeah, it should be from
to
personal
this
experience,
topic.
right?
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Okay. So to begin, I am like during my high school days, I can assume that I am someone who's very I wouldn't say very loud, but an extrovert, I could say. I am comfortable with people. No, I have no problems connecting with people, making friends, and all. Like, to me, it's like, a nature to me, and I feel very comfortable with it. But as time goes by, I don't know, maybe it's just age factor or something. I do somehow, like, what I do, like what I love to do, like those things that I love to do, like, somehow, like, very, social. I do like somehow, like, I don't feel the interest anymore, and then it went downhill for me. Starting from my degree uni, I have, like, I don't know, like, it has been wandering in my mind ever since. But then I can, like, oh, okay, it's just me overthinking, But then as the days go by, I just feel like, okay, it's starting to conquer me for many reasons, and the things like that have happened, the bad things, the good things, and all, and it somehow, like, kind of affected me in a large scale. And somehow it has been bothering me. So I do feel like, okay, I think it's time for me to pay attention, to myself, and try to take a break from, socializing with others. And I am someone, and also I am someone who loves to impress people with my presence. As in, during my high school days, when someone feels like somehow uncomfortable with me, like when I was there, so I felt like, okay, like, it's bugging me. It's like, oh my god, what? And then from there, I started to overthink that. Oh my god, why does she feel like? Why does she feel like that? There must be something wrong, you know, and blah blah blah, and you know, yada yada yada. And and from there, I tried my very best to impress them so that they can be happy without, you know, with my presence when I am around. And it has, I know that, and then I did not realize that it is actually unhealthy for some reasons, because I do it very often, you know, especially with new people, you know. I just want them to have a good impression of me, like no bad things and stuff. And I just want to feel, you know, I just want them to feel great about me, like all the positives one. It's just that I really want to please people, you know, to show that I am, you know, I am a good person, something, and I am someone who's like all rounder and stuff, like, you know, just all the good thoughts about me. But then, but then I realized that it just doesn't work on anyone. It just doesn't work on some people, you know. So at first I was like, okay, like this is wrong, and to me lah, I feel like, okay, this is fishy and stuff, and I just say yes to others' requests, you know, like I normally like won't, I unhesitantly, you know, just follow all of their words and stuff, like macam like, okay, for example, like can you do this for me? You know, even though even though my heart says no, but I feel like, oh, I think like I just don't want to lose her or something. I just don't want to lose like this person. So I was like, okay, like okay, like just okay, yes, you know. Pag kata orang macam paangguk kan. So
Because you don't want to lose them from your life.
yeah. So I realized that. So now I just realized that, wow, like, am I that? You know, am I that? How to say? How to say? Then I realized that I did not set up boundaries for myself. You
Because
know,
you
like
just
from
let
all
yourself.
the habits of saying yes to a lot of things, it can act, and it led me to an emotional breakdown for myself. You know, it's like I feel unhealthy after that, and then like my, you know, like my present me, and then looking back at the past things that, you know, that had happened. I know, like I know that, you know, we can't we shouldn't look back at the past, but I don't know, it has been like it has affected me so bad until I often look back at the past, and the thoughts of restarting my life all over again has always been very very
Frequent?
very off. Sorry?
Or very frequent, you mean?
Yes, yes, that's the word. Thank you. Very frequent, and I know that it's very bad, you know. So because of that, I started to slowly set up boundaries for myself by you know, by identifying like the key points, you know, as in like, oh, okay, if things like this, like you shouldn't say no. If these things you should say okay, something, you know, because to me that, oh, maybe it's time for me to protect myself, you know, from unwanted things, you know, that can perhaps tarnish my future, you know, my future self later. So from there, like we can like at first, like in order to establish our own boundaries, you know, because I know that some different people have different boundaries, because it all depends on their capability of dealing with any kinds of situations. So for me, like one key is to get to actually know ourselves, like what are the things that makes us feel happy, what are the things that makes us how to say, like feeling under the weather stuff. So that's like, to me, from there, if if we are if we are okay, if we are well known with our own self, then from there, like, we can slowly establish it one by one, like by saying, by saying no to, like, by saying no to this one request or something, and then with proper manner, lah, of course, so that the other person doesn't feel offended, by our words. So I think that's how, like, we establish it, by getting to know ourselves well, so that we can set healthy boundaries for our own self. So yeah, that's about it.
I think I can definitely relate to your experience because I used to have a similar experience to that, but when I was in school, I wasn't that extroverted actually. I think I was more of an I was more of an introvert, but I somehow experienced with things and have issues with friends and whatnot. When we are young, we tend to have like these problems with friends. I don't know why. Right, we want to like we want to be on their good side. We want them to be in our lives forever. But then, as I grow older, I start to hold on to this. What people say, people come and go. I start to hold on to that very strongly. Like, people come and go. They don't stay in your life forever. They're just, yeah, they're just in your life sometimes for, to fulfill a certain purpose, and then they would just leave once it's done. And yeah,
True.
right. And then I learned to not you can grieve, but I guess you don't like if they want to leave, then yeah, just let them leave because we are valuable,
Yeah,
right? We are valuable.
true.
We don't have to hang on to them.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and like, from your story, it actually reminds me of this one quote too.
Huh?
Um, if yeah, I remember now. If your boundaries scare them away, let them go. So from there, I get, like, at first, to me it was a very meaningful statement and very deep as well, because I was like, oh, okay, like, that it's not, that it's like we are, like, it's okay to set up boundaries, as in, like, it actually kind of impacted me, as in, like, it's okay if they, if they don't feel, if they don't feel the same way as we do, like, we cannot force it, as in, yeah, if they feel like our boundaries are not how to say, like, they don't feel comfortable with, then it's okay it's okay to let them go, because all it takes is just we have to protect ourselves,
Yeah.
So yeah, it is okay to let them go, even though with heavy heart, but it's just for the best of us.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So like based on your experience of setting up
yeah.
healthy boundaries, right? What kind of uh good things that you have felt by setting up those boundaries? Have you seen any like positive changes?
I actually do. Like, it's very surprising, but I feel, after setting up boundaries, I somehow feel even more comfortable with myself, and then I feel like reassured by it, as in, like, okay, like, you're actually doing a good thing, Aida. Like, keep steady, as in, I feel comfortable. I feel, somehow great, as in, I can live my life, without, and not with live my life, without like, with less guilt, as in, like, it's okay for me to live like this. It's okay for me to feel it, and then I feel like, my self control is getting, like, it's improving, and my self esteem, somehow, like, it's, it's ascending, in to me, like, in a very positive way. and yeah, so, overall, I actually feel great, mentally, emotionally. But of course, like it takes time. It actually takes a long time for me
Yeah.
to cope with it, to adapt with these things, because to me it's very new. Like setting
Mm-hmm.
up boundaries, like it's actually still new, because I like now I have fully have my full attention on setting up boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow doing it, somehow actually discipline myself, with setting up boundaries. So I feel like accomplished, um, in a very positive way. So yeah, of course there are so many positive changes that I've seen in myself
Mm-hmm.
after setting up boundaries.
I can relate with you as well. Like, once you set up that boundaries, right, you immediately remove all those toxic people and also toxic
Yeah,
environment and
true.
and our own toxic traits, right? And then we start to like
True.
reflect within ourselves and like, okay, oh, I'm actually like this and this. You kind of like,
Yeah.
somehow you are kind of like grateful to those people for letting you learn more about yourself. Oh, when it's like a defense mechanism of some sort. If you look
Yeah.
at it,
True. True.
it sometimes we feel hurt when that thing happens, but then when we reflect back, it's actually a very good
Mhm.
thing that develops our own self, which I feel very grateful
Mhm.
for. Okay,
Yeah.
we know when we are establishing our own boundaries, right? Because it is like
Mhm.
ourselves. But how would we know, and how would we know when other people are, establishing boundaries against us, and how do we respect those people who needed that space?
Um. For this question,
Mm-hmm.
of course, like everyone has to set up their boundaries for their own good.
Mm-hmm.
And how would we know is when we actually see changes within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
When we set up boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and we look at their reactions, we look at their response to it. When we say no, when we uh, respectfully decline, their requests and all, and somehow when we know we don't feel right with what if that what they did like affected us.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like we have to respect others who need space as well, because they are just like us.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are just like human beings who need like who often works in this like chaotic world.
Mm-hmm.
And of course that we need like somehow in a conversation, like if we are in a somehow like a conversation that it's very intense, like as in a fight, like, or in an argument, right? When someone needs space, okay lah, we like we do understand that if if things are happening like on in same on the same time, and it's just like that person like just like they couldn't take too much pressure at one time, and all they think was they just wanted space, and time for themselves. So we shouldn't counter that, like if she or they like say like they need space, that it for them to calm down for a while, just give them, like respect them, respect their decisions, because eventually they will be okay, like they just needed because somehow when we feel angry with and then all the words that come out from us, like it's somehow that we do not even expect that that to come out, as in we are talking now, we are like talking out of emotions, not by logical thinking,
Yeah.
not by so it's very dangerous, because it can lead to broken friendships. It can lead to very unnecessary things, that very unwanted things. um I used to do that last time, like when like I was so like frustrated. I feel, like my words unconsciously hurt, others' feelings, and therefore, like, with the lack of communication, it led to, broken connections, until like we're just like strangers with memories. That is something that, that shouldn't happen to anyone, because yeah, it's our own mistakes, and it can lead to us overthinking all over again and regretting everything that I've done something. So no, like, so that's a no, and of course that. So to look back again, I think, like, if they needed space, like, we should give them, without any hesitations, because because some people, they really need to have all the space and time, like, for themselves, and because it's their way, it's their coping mechanism to calm themselves down, and you know gathering back all the unwanted emotions, and to rethink again something. So we have to be patient with these kind of people. We really have to be patient, and because if in order for us to have solutions within our now, in order for us to avoid any misunderstanding between each other, then we have to you know we have to be okay, we have to tolerate that that but like how should I'm sorry I kind of stuttered for a
It's
while.
okay.
Uh, so my like back to my point is, like, if they needed space, like we should say no to it, something, because it's part of their boundaries. But somehow, like, we shouldn't take that negatively. It doesn't mean that like they needed space. Means that they wanted to cut the connection. No, like, we have to be patient for it with it, and somehow, because somehow the person will come back and to talk things through all over again, and try to come up with a, how to say, like a peaceful connection between both of them again, like, to relinked. And so, yeah, um like, with all the boundaries, like, we like, it's just a way of protecting ourselves, and eventually, if we do it, if we act it in a very healthy manner, it will be, eventually everything will be somehow okay, and just fine. So yeah, that I think that's about it now.
So basically, setting boundaries is our own responsibility, right? Because people will always continue to do what you allow. Like, for instance, when people dislike you, you cannot actually do anything about it. So
Yeah, true.
we are actually the controller or the mastermind of our own self, because we are the only one who decide what is and what isn't allowed in our own life, right? So
Yeah, true.
yeah, I believe we should take control of our life. We shouldn't let other people or the environment affects our own decision, and also whatever it is that we want in our life, right?
I
I think that's a
agree.
very important lesson in life, because when we were younger we didn't realize that, but I guess that's what experience are there for, right? For us to learn from. So now
True, true.
we've talked about boundaries. Now we are going to have a look at
Yeah.
the concept of alone time.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there any difference between being alone and lonely, do you think? Because I believe that, especially young people, we have this like a negative stigma around people who like to do things on their own, right?
Yeah,
What do
true.
people call it? Lone rangers, right? Like
Yeah, look, oh my god, that's a very popular term in
right,
my
Lone
industry.
Rangers. Yeah, especially in university, we have our own clique, right? yeah, we have our own
Yeah.
cliques, and then when we see people going about on their own, people just,
Mm-hmm.
they said that those people are loners, they don't have friends, whatsoever. But but sometimes it's their
Yeah.
choice. Sometimes they opt for, to be alone. They do have friends, they just want to be alone, right? I don't know, but what do you think? What do you
Exactly.
think the difference?
Mhm. Actually, like I do agree with with your point because it's actually true.
Mm-hmm.
Being alone and lonely, it's closely like it has the same concept, but actually we can, if we look, there is actually a slight difference between being alone and lonely. Being alone is like you're like you are comfortable doing things alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are like you prefer to to do like the things that you enjoy alone, like
Mm-hmm.
by your own self, like
Mm-hmm.
as in like spending leisure like by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
like doing your hobbies by yourself
Yeah.
and like going to like places all by yourself and somehow like being alone like it it somehow brings comfort, in like in your daily life,
Mm-hmm.
in everything that you do. And there's no like, as in, like, of course, yes, they do like uh, these loners, they actually have friends. They do have friends, but at some point, um, people just need to understand that they being like they like these people prefer to be alone,
Mm-hmm.
like it's for their own like self comfort,
Mm-hmm.
self protection, like, and then self care. And but like doesn't mean that they don't want to be friends with
Mm-hmm.
them, like of course like being alone, like it doesn't happen all the time. As in, like if if their friends like wanted to go out, like somewhere or some places where macam going out to eat
Outing.
something, like they are actually okay with it, But no, there are some times that they wanted to spend their time alone, like spending time at the library alone, like doing things like in that way it helps them to be more productive,
Mm-hmm.
in their daily routines. It actually helps them in a way. Meanwhile, for like being lonely, I think it's somehow there's a sense of emotional. How do I say this? Like it's more it's more to the emotional side effect of being alone, as in like there's no one. There's like they feel like they have no companion. Like this is like one of the depressive episodes.
Mm-hmm.
As in um they feel unwanted. They feel that it's more to emotional aspect of our as that leads to kind of like in a negative way. Like I no offense, but this is like to me lah. As
Mm-hmm.
in um they feel somehow you know they don't feel worthy at all in this
Mm-hmm.
life. They feel like there's nobody who understands how they are. They feel like somehow very very unwanted, and feel lifeless. It's so there's so like to me there is so much negativity like within like of like being lonely, and of course that happens to most of us, and it is actually okay to feel that, because if you that's what makes us human,
Yeah.
like
True.
it's not that we don't ask for these negative things to happen, but
Mm-hmm.
once it happens and we feel some kind of way, it 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 actually shows that we do have feelings too,
Mm-hmm.
and we that's the process of coping up with our own sadness. So to me, that different that those elements that differentiate being alone and being lonely. So yeah.
I have this urge to like associate it linguistically. since we are linguistics. Because
Yeah, yeah,
alone and lonely is like, it's the linguistic
yeah.
stuff going on there. And then I feel like
Mm-hmm.
being alone, I like to think of being alone as like going on a date with yourself. Right.
Exactly, like pampering ourselves,
Yeah. And
to
then it actually
like a self-reward lah.
yeah, and it actually instills independence. You don't right.
Yes, true.
So like as your own person, what is alone time to you?
Oh, as my own person,
Yeah.
um, what is alone time to me? Alone time, like for me, is yeah, um, just like like the typical alone time, as in like going out to places by our own selves, like for instance, in university, like
Mm-hmm.
in our own like campus, like going, going for a walk,
Mm-hmm.
like to all places, like for instance, the library, the faculty, and to like all places, by our own, like like spending time with our own self,
Going on
like
a date with your own
like
self.
there's no pressure. Yeah, just going on a date with ourselves. Like no pressure, just like walk, like we control our own time,
Yeah.
like as in like we how should I say this? Like we don't make people wait for us,
Mm.
because I am someone who kind of takes a long time to dress up, for classes, and I hate to make people wait for me actually, because it feels like I do feel pressure, because I don't want them to wait
Yeah.
something. Like it feels like like oh my god, like people are waiting for me, like I have
Yeah.
to be, like I would like in a rush or something. So yeah, like it feels so from there I started to acknowledge more like of how alone time works, and like for like doing my assignments in the library, it's very peaceful. Like it's a very peaceful moment for me. I find solace within it, and like just to enjoy things myself. Like, and it's something that brings comfort, that brings positive energy to me, and yeah, and it makes me feel productive in so many ways. I feel accomplished, and so yeah, that's how alone time, is for me. How alone time works for me, and yeah, of course I will do it again. So yeah, it's important for me as well. So that's how it works.
So I noticed just now you said uh you like because sometimes we feel pressured, right? That's why we need to incorporate some alone time in our life. I
Yes.
feel you. Sometimes I also don't like it when people have to wait for me when we need
Yeah.
to go to class or anything. That's why I like going on my own because it's at my own time. I don't have to wait for
Yes.
anyone or they don't have to
Exactly.
wait for
True.
me, right? So as a student, what kind of
Mhm.
difficulties that you face when you try to incorporate some alone time in your daily life?
Like one thing for sure
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to difficulties or challenges is when I'm alone,
Mm-hmm.
I tend to zone out a lot. As in,
Oh.
like I I'm I tend to not realize like, oh, I've been spending too much time, than what I initially estimated. Like for instance, like I've been like in the library, like okay, if, like for instance, I spend my time in the library like
Mm-hmm.
doing assignments, and somehow like I felt too much like too comfortable, in the library, and somehow like I feel like, oh my god, it has been like hours, since I said this, and it's almost like it's almost like it's almost dusk, like it's like too late already, like it's almost reaching nighttime. So I was like, oh okay, like I know that that's when I realized that I tend to like somehow like be in my own world.
Mm-hmm.
Just feel like for too long, that makes me feel like okay, like yeah, it's time to snap out of the reality. So that's one difficulty lah. Like that one that that time happened during my early, I could say like my early phase of having alone time, because I started to have my alone time in like starting from degree actually, because during my high school and foundation studies I was like almost like 24/7. I was surrounded by my good friends, by people. So I do things with people,
Oh.
like going out with people. So starting from degree, I started to have my own alone time, like going to places alone. So from there, I started to um, to do like to pay attention more to 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 things I do alone, something. And another difficulty is uh, it takes um, it takes some time for me to cope with things that I do alone. At first, I felt like I felt somehow like kind of uncomfortable, doing things alone or something. So I feel like awkward at
Oh.
some point. But then as time goes by, I felt like I'm doing okay, and I'm doing okay being alone or something. Like it's okay, to be alone. So, um, but otherwise, no, I think it's just great. I think it went well for me. So like only those two, yeah.
So, you have been around people for a long time, up until degree, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
when you start incorporating some alone time, do people think negatively of it? And how can we deal with people who, might think negatively of us trying to be alone sometimes?
I do get this like perspective like from some of my friends. Of course, like they are not of course like it's not their wrong, to think that way, because but like different people have different kind of coping mechanisms, in their life. So I do get some friends like, why are you try like why do you do things alone, on your own? Like we are here to help something, because I'm someone who who prefer to do like to do things on my own, because I don't want to burden them. I don't want to like. It's not that I don't trust them. It's not. It's just that I feel like um I am more capable of doing things on my own, and not like pressuring them to do my things. So I don't like feeling that kind of somehow some like that feeling, like of like yeah lah, for having them to do things for me. Like to me, like it feels like very comfortable, and maybe this causes this somehow leads me to having my alone time. And they always like ask me like, why are you like, why do you why are you like, why do you prefer to be alone, why are you going there alone, something. I appreciate that they care, they are concerned, but somehow like for us to like, they need they need our explanation, like as in we have to educate them, that the concept of alone time is actually okay, it's actually like acceptable within us, because somehow like they have to like, they need to acknowledge, like being alone is okay. I understand that some people, especially extroverts, they are comfortable, around people. They are like, they are fine with socializing, like without any limits, like 24/7, as along the way. But like somehow like we live in a chaotic world. Too many things are happening around us, and which can drain us, us emotionally, mentally, especially with like the social media.
Yeah.
I go on to social media very often, especially Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. So from there, like, especially Twitter, right? Like we both, I know that we both are very active on Twitter, and somehow along like throughout the years, like the contents that are um there are the contents that in Twitter
Mm-hmm.
somehow like it changes. No, it revolves into something like, how to say, to me, like it's more critical and more negative, because there are a lot of, like a lot of things, and then that's why we always like hear the term like, like Twitter is being toxic. It's
Yeah.
not the Twitter that's toxic; it's the
Yeah.
content
Yeah.
that are tailed in the application. So from there, like, I've seen so many like there, even right now
Mm-hmm.
there are like a lot of like issues, like politics,
Yeah.
entertainment, a lot of things, that are happening. And sadly, like very unfortunate that a lot of negative things is like are no exception either. So from there, like, I feel like it kind of drains, my energy. It kind of drains like my, my mind. So somehow like, I felt like I need a break from all of this, because I need to, like for me, like I need to track back, to my, like I need to back on the right track, so
Mm-hmm.
that I don't feel like I don't, how to say, apa tu fasa again, like it's in, I don't feel like far too much from, from the reality, from my own track. And I understand that some people, they don't like, how to say, like, like my point is like, we can educate them,
Mm-hmm.
that the alone time is actually vital for us, for our own self control, towards a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
and to reassure them that we don't neglect them as friends. We don't neglect our, our circle. It's just that they have, like, we have to let them know that sometimes we prefer to do things alone,
Yeah.
and I would, we have to, how to say, give them constant reassurance that they are not wrong. They are, they did not do something wrong to me. Uh, Somehow that leads me to do things alone. It's just that that's just our nature, and yeah, lah, in hopes that they could understand that,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow maybe as time goes by, they do need alone time too. Like
Yeah.
especially when we step into the working world,
Mm-hmm.
somehow like things will be very, very, very chaotic, and very messy, challenging in so much ways. So yeah, it's a way to discipline our own self control in order, in order for us to have a better life,
Yeah.
and in order for us to enjoy life more. Yeah. So yeah, I think we need to educate them. Like we need to, of course, like, in a very proper way, lah. Like
Mm-hmm.
not saying things, like not, using curse words, no, not using vulgar words, because we understand that, some people, they need to know more about how alone time works. So yeah.
I think it's very important for everybody to realize the importance of alone time, the concept of
Exactly.
me
True.
time, right?
Mm.
Even though
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter whether they are an introvert or an ambivert or even an extrovert.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's really important because yeah, like you said, we live in a chaotic world. We need to
Mm-hmm.
recharge ourselves sometimes. We need to spend time with our own self because we need to learn more
Yeah.
about ourselves, right?
Yes.
So
True. True.
I think that's it. Pretty much that's it. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, by the way, guys, did you know that apart from being gorgeous, our Ida is also have the voice of an angel? So,
Oh my god.
so can you sing for us, please?
Sorry.
Can you sing for? Can you sing one song? Maybe a short verse for the
Oh,
listeners.
what song do you want though? Like, I'm okay.
Okay, what song? What song do you sing most beautifully?
Wow. Because I sing a lot of songs. So, oh, okay, I think I can think of one. Oh my god, I'm shy. Okay, okay. I'll try. You know, like your wish is my command. Okay, like just one verse lah. Okay, okay. It's like If I Ain't Got You by Alicia Keys. I think it's a very popular song.
Yeah, I really love that song.
I often sing that too. Yeah. Okay, so I try. Okay.
Okay, ready, go.
Some people want it all, but I don't want nothing at all. It's beating you, baby. If I got you, baby. Some people want diamond rings, but some just want everything, but everything means nothing if I ain't got you. Yeah, that's about it.
Oh, Aida.
Oh my god.
That's so
This is
lovely.
unexpected.
Okay. Thank you, Aida, for your time. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's episode. Don't forget to follow Aida on her Instagram at Aida Lida Rida. Okay, so I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.